name is Richard. I'm the technical documentation specialist for User-Centrics, and I'm going to show you how to set up, configure, and implement Cookiebot CMP. There will be no coding involved. Everything can be done through our admin, and I'm going to show you Google Tag Manager and WordPress. Neither of those will require any bits of coding. It's pretty fast and easy. I'm going to show it to you in real time. It's going to take about 15 minutes, give or take. So let's get started. I'll share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. So we are going to start on cookiebot.com. To start a new account, you'll just use the start free trial button. You will be taken to a screen that asks for your email address, and you'll receive an email with a button that you have to click to activate that. I obviously already done that. So you're going to be taken through a flow, which I won't be, but I can show you some screenshots of how that looks. So the very first screen you'll be presented with when you log into the admin is a field here where you enter your website's URL, and then you can choose a preset. Now presets are amazing because the thing is, you probably were asked by someone from your legal department to implement a cookie banner, and you probably have no idea what it should look like and how it should work, how to configure it. We know that, and we want to make it easy for you. So you basically just select the one you want. So for example, in California, you would choose this one that says CCPA/CPRA. And then when you click the next button, you'll get into the configuration screen, which I have here. Like, this is exactly the same for me as it is for you. The only difference is I can get back to these legislation presets here. So here again, I can choose which one I want to use. I'll apply the preset, and now I can change the banner. If I like it the way it is, then I don't have to do anything. But I can choose, for example, if I want it to slide up into the website, or if it's just there. Yeah, I personally don't like the slide up, so I'll just leave it like this. You can move it to the top. You can use the dialog type. As you can see, as I'm making these changes, you can see that it changes, that the preview changes as well. I personally like the dialog one because it's hard to ignore. If you choose the bar one and you have a large screen, you can just ignore the banner and continue working with the website. I don't want people to do that, because as long as they haven't made a decision, then basically all my services are waiting for consent. So if I, for example, want some analytical data, I kind of want people to make that decision. So I choose the dialog type. On design, I can choose what I want this dialog to look like. This is our default, white with the dark blue. You can also change it to dark. So it's so if you have a darker website, that might fit a little bit better, or you can completely customize it, and then you can choose the background color. So let's say I wanted red. Oh, that's really hideous. So let's not do that. Back to white. You can change the text color. You can change the highlight color, the shade. I'll just reset it just to, you know what, let's just play around with it just to show you how it looks. So I have green text now because yeah, I'm crazy like that. And I have a blue-ish background. That's nice and hideous. Change the highlight as well. So let's make that, yeah, red. Let's go for red, or pinkish rather. And let's have a yellow shade. So let's really go to town here. You can see that my banner is updated. Some things are inherited. So like the User-Centrics logo and these unselected headlines, they'll follow the text color. The highlight color is the one, what you have active. So this part, for example, you can see. Yeah, this is the highlight. The shade is what these lines do. I'm just going to reset it because this makes my eyes hurt. Yeah, and you can add your own little logo. So it will be then displayed here in the upper left corner. I don't have one on hand right now, but it will be shown on the upper left corner. Compliance, here you can choose different types of banners. So let's say you do know exactly how to, what kind of banner you want, then you can change it here. You can go for the multi-level, which is the GDPR style banner. You can do the accept only, accept and decline. Then there's inline multi-level, which is essentially sort of like the one with the toggles, but here the toggles are on the details section. But I'm gonna set it back to the do not share opt-in type banner. Additional settings for this specific type of banner is whether or not I want to display the banner. So like in California, you don't actually have to surface this banner up front. You just have to give them an option to resurface it and then withdraw their consent. So if I uncheck this, then this won't be displayed, and they'll see a little icon here in the bottom left corner instead. I can also choose to put a close icon on it. So let's say you have visitors that they don't want to make a choice. They just want to close the banner. Now what this does, it essentially works as an opt-out. So it would be the same as them clicking the do not sell or share my personal information button. So I'm going to display the banner. I don't want this close icon because one opt-out option is plenty for my taste. The content tab, this is where you can change your texts. Now these are all the default texts which you can just use. Yeah, I would, but you can edit the text a little bit to make it a little bit more in line with the way you could like to communicate with your customers. You can add an unlimited amount of languages. So yeah, if you need other than English, then you can do that here. If you select auto detect language, it will actually look at the visitor's browser settings. So if the visitor, let's say the visitor has his preferred language set to Italian, and you happen to have Italian added as a language, then the banner will be displayed in that language. If let's say they have Czech and they did not add that in this list, then we'll just revert back to English as the default, which you can set here, of course, if you have multiple languages. The privacy bit, this is we call this the privacy trigger. So this is the mechanism that allows users to withdraw their consent. So let's say I did not surface the banner up front, then you will see this little button here, and then it will allow them to withdraw consent or to change it, or if they already consented previously, to change their mind. So this toggle triggers whether or not I display it. Oh, I actually have it right here, yeah, because this website uses our Cookiebot solution. So if I click it here, you can actually see it in action. You can see that I previously opted out here. Go into some detail. I did that today. And I can well, I've already withdrawn my consent once, so that's grayed out. But if I can change it and say like, okay, well, so you have some preference cookies, statistics, marketing. Oh, okay, that looks good to me. I'll just allow all. And then suddenly I regain my sanity and like, no, wait a second, I don't agree at all. Then I can change it again, or I can just withdraw, and you can see it automatically updates. You can change the positioning a little bit if it conflicts with your website's elements like menus. You can also change it like to the bottom left and the bottom right and top left, and yeah, I kind of like it in the bottom left. So let's just keep it there. Here again, you have the themes, so you can customize it just like the banner, and you can also change the button itself. So right now it's set to black. I can set it to white. I can choose red, for example, whatever I want. I'll just set it back to black here. Cookie declaration. This is an optional feature. What you can do is inject a script into a specific page, and that shows basically everything that's on the banner, but then in a large page, so you don't have to navigate through it. For the purposes of this this little guide, we're not gonna mess with that. So I now have the banner the way I want it, so I'm gonna save my changes. Now, when you do that, when you go through your initial flow, you'll be taken to this screen, the payment information screen. So let's say you already decided that you want to use our solution, then go ahead and enter your information here. If you're not quite sure yet, and you first want to sort of like play around with it, then you can see this link here in the bottom left, continue without entering payment, and then you'll be taken to the last step, which is implementation. I think this screenshot is a bit older because these days it looks like least I think it does. It looks like this. So here you have the banner script. This is I promise you not no coding. So this is if you do want to code. Otherwise, these are all the platforms that we have some form of integration with. So these take you to the specific guides. Oh yeah, I would definitely recommend this. Send. Okay, let's just not do that. So what I would be needing, regardless of my implementation method, is this domain group ID. So this is basically every domain group, the domains that I added to a single configuration. We could also call this a configuration ID. Let's just copy this. We need this for verification purposes. So let's start off with WordPress. So now I've configured my banner. I'm ready to actually get it installed on my website. So here, oh, I had this from a previous installment. If I now refresh the page, this is by the way not a real website. This is just my little playground. You can see there's no Cookiebot banner. There's also no privacy trigger, so there's no Cookiebot here. Then I go to my dashboard, and what I will do, I will go to plugins, and I will say add new plugin. Enter Cookiebot. That's what I want. And there it is. Install now. Wonderful. Activate. And it should now pop up in the bottom left corner. And here it is. Just click that. This is the dashboard. Yeah, not much to say about the dashboard. This is where you basically land. Let's go to settings, where the magic happens. And what I basically want to do is I just want to enter my domain ID that I just copied from the admin. And basically now, if I save my changes, I will already have a banner. It's literally that easy. You can just save now. And now if I refresh my page, there should be a banner. Well, at least there's a privacy trigger. I think because I've played around with it previously, and I forgot to flush my consent settings. So here I've already consented, but if I want to change it, you can see this CCPA style banner where I can say I do not want to sell or share my personal information. So this is an opt-out, and this is an opt-in, as you can see reflected here. A little bit about the settings here. You can again here you can choose the language detection, but here it's the one in the Cookiebot admin that looks at the browser settings. This looks at the website's language settings. So this is if you use, for example, the WordPress language. So this avoids some mismatches. So let's say my website is in English, and the visitor has a preferred language that I happen to have added to my website, then you will have that mismatch because the website will be in English and the banner might be in, I don't know, Dutch. That's not a disaster because the preferred language is probably one that the user masters, but it might not look good. So here you can set that setting. Auto cookie blocking mode basically means that if you do not want to mess around with the code at all, which you probably don't, you enable this, and then based on the last scan result of the website, I forgot to mention that when you add a domain, scan starts and it checks for all resources that set cookies. If you set it to automatic mode, then it will find these elements that set cookies and it will prevent them from loading prior consent. So this is super convenient if you don't want to code. You just enable that, save it, and then it will magically block cookie setting scripts, which is wonderful. Some additional settings. None of these are super important. This is all kind of advanced stuff. You can also implement Google Tag Manager through our plugin if you haven't already. Most people use a dedicated plugin for this, but if you don't, then this is an option. Google Consent Mode is a requirement to use Google Tag Manager. That sort of like translates the consent data that we collect to a format that Google understands, and then they can use that to determine how tags work or whether or not they should fire. A little bit more on that, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install Cookiebot using Google Tag Manager. A little bit about these last settings. TCF, this is very specific for Europe and for publishers. So basically it it overrides the banner and adds these advanced consent settings. It's pretty complicated stuff, so I'm just going to skip over that and pretend like we didn't see it. Multiple configurations is really handy if you expect international visitors and you have to present different banners to different people. What you would then do in the admin, you would add multiple domain groups. I'll see here I have a primary domain group, which is CCPA. Let's say I also need one for GDPR, then I would create a separate one for that. That will then get its own ID, and I will then be able to enter that in the multiple configurations field. So for example, this is my primary one, and I can add a second banner. I'll just add the region, Algeria, for example, and then add its corresponding ID. And then depending on where the user is, they will get one banner or the other. Pretty handy, but again, this is more advanced stuff. Let's move on to Google Tag Manager. I have a different website here, which should not have Cookiebot implemented, which it doesn't. This is my Google Tag Manager container. And one thing I like to start off with, if I go to tags here, by default you will not see a little shield here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll go to Admin, Container Settings, and then I will enable the consent overview. And what this does, if I now go back to tags, now I do have a little shield here. And this shows me how consent is configured for tags. Now you can see here, I only have one tag, LinkedIn Insight, and it does not have built-in consent or additional consent. And I'll get back to what that means. But essentially what it means is this tag does not care about what the user says. So right now, this will always fire and will always collect data, even if it's not supposed to. But let's start off with getting Cookiebot implemented. So we'll just click New Tag, Cookiebot CMP is what we'll call it. And then we go to Featured Community CMP templates. You can also just find it in the gallery, but this is the easiest way because there's only two options, and this one is ours. Cookiebot CMP, add to workspace. Yes, please. So this is the tag. I should still have the ID. Yes, there it is. Here's the ID that I added my website to. So you can see it's it's added here. So this is the one we just visited. This is the one I entered previously. So that corresponds with this ID here. I just leave the language to auto text. If you're in Europe and you need to be sure that that the script is served from a European server, you can just set that here. Otherwise, don't bother. Add geo-regions is similar to what we did in WordPress, where you can add several banners per region. Right now, I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to enable Google Consent Mode. This is important because this is that API that converts Cookiebot data to Google Tag Manager data. This is that TCF thing again that we are, and this is a little bit excessive. Like we don't have to wait 2 whole seconds. I find this enough. I'm gonna have to give it a trigger. You need to use consent initialization all pages because this is what happens first. Then initialization happens second, and then all pages happens last. So we want to make sure that we know whether or not we're supposed to load a tag before they actually start loading. So this one has to happen first. And this is basically the Cookiebot setup. So now if I publish it, I'm not going to do that right now, then I should see a banner. But right now, this LinkedIn Insight tag can still fire whenever it wants to, because now again I go to the consent overview. You can see the Cookiebot tag already has built-in consent. Don't need to worry about that. But this LinkedIn Insight tag still doesn't have consent configured. So let's do that right now. So we just simply click on the tag, open it up, go to Advanced Settings, Consent Settings, require additional consent, choose the storage type. Well, I know this is for marketing purposes or ads, so I'll choose that. But there's also analytics, functionality, personalization. Choose the one you find most suiting. Like the ad storage will correlate to the marketing category in the Cookiebot banner. Analytics will correlate to statistics. Functionality and personalization will correlate to preferences. And security is necessary. So this is always on. So I'm going to choose ad storage. But now, this trigger won't do because imagine that the website loads and the banner services, and then in the background, tags are still executing. So this tag will the all pages event will happen, and then so basically tag asks Google Tag Manager, hey, am I allowed to load? And they go like, we don't know yet, so no. And then the user consents, but this trigger doesn't happen again. So the tag will just not run on that first page, which is usually the most interesting page. Like this is where your bounces happen, and then where you get most of your insights. So I want to make sure that this happens only when I know what consent settings we have. So I'm just going to create a new trigger for that using the plus. And it needs to be a custom type, and it's going to be called cookie consent update. Now, every time something happens with the consent, I have to spell this correctly, then Cookiebot sends this event to Google Tag Manager. So that's basically its way of saying, I know what the user wants. Send update. Here we go. Save, and now that's added. So now, same scenario. We enter the website first time. We've never consented before. The banner services. Now this trigger has not happened yet. This happens as soon as the person clicks on either consent or don't sell my information, or when they've already done that previously and reload the page. So now I will never miss out on my data, and I respect the user's choice, because unless marketing consent is given, this tag will not fire. Now, Google's own tags have built-in consent. So if you use Google Analytics, you don't have to do anything at all. It will just load in restricted mode, prior consent, and then when consent is given, it will just get enhanced features. So it gets full privileges, so to speak. I'm going to do a preview first, so I can show you actually what's going to happen. So here it goes. Oh, enter that website address. Connect. And here we go. Tag system, continue. And it should be this one. But I just remembered that I did not update the ID. So bear with me here. Normally what would happen is, like, on initial consent, that would be here on Windows loaded. No. Oh, this is embarrassing. Well, anyway, normally what you would see is that that the tags that are fired, that would only be Cookiebot CMP, and you can see here this is a different container. So you have these tags here that have already fired because I've already consented previously. But let's just click on one. You can see here that they have additional consent set to it, just like I did with that LinkedIn tag. So unless that consent is given, then this tag won't fire. So right now it had it previously. And I could probably, if I now withdraw my consent, that should actually see. Oh, hoping this works so I don't look like a fool. See, now you can see the tags that are fired and are not fired. Like I said, Google's own tags have built-in consent, so they don't really have any blocking trigger. So they'll just load, but they're right now in restricted mode. So Cookiebot is fired. These tags have not fired yet because their consent settings have not been met because I just withdrew consent. But then when you can see consent update here. This is let's see the consent settings. You can see here everything's denied, so no tags here. Same with the second and third one. Oh, what happened here? But now if I update my consent, so let's say, yes, I do want, I want everything. Just give me your cookies. Then now, on the last cookie consent update, you can see all of these are granted. And now I go to the summary, tags. See, now they've all fired except that one because I probably configured the wrong tag in that GTM container. Anyway, So this is basically it. Just if you're looking aside from from my little mess ups there, you could see it's very easy. You literally just add a tag and basically publish, and you're done. The same thing with WordPress. It's just getting the plugin, entering the ID, and just go with the basic settings, and you're done. Here in the admin, there's a couple of things I would like to show you. For example, analytics. Right now, this is extremely boring because nobody ever visits my website. But this will show you. Maybe there's a little bit of data. Okay, that's sad. But usually you would be able to see the number of opt-ins versus the number of opt-outs. If you see that the opt-outs are much higher, then try tweaking your banner a little bit. Make it a little bit, for example, like I said, don't use the pop-up version instead of the banner version. That increases your interaction rate. Consent logs are if you ever get audited and you have to document that you've legally obtained consent, then you can download a consent log, and it will just show you the date and a consent ID, which the user can get from the privacy trigger here. Show details. It's the consent ID, so they have to give you this ID, and then you would be able to match that to the consent date, and then you will be able to document that you obtained consent in a legal fashion. Cookies and reports. So these show the cookies on the website. So these are the ones it's found, what category they belong to. Unclassified means we don't know this cookie. It means you have to you actually have to set a classification. Promo, that sounds marketing to me. So save changes. So now my cookie report should be up to date. The scan reports, these show you the number of trackers you have. I can download it here, and then it shows any compliancy issues. So, for example, if I'm transmitting data to a country that is considered not adequate, like North Korea or Russia or places like that, or if trackers get set without consent, in which case you can contact support, which which can help you fix that issue. That is about what I wanted to share with you. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and yeah,